Peter and Paul Okoye were born on the 18th of November 1981 in Jos Plateau State, although their family originated from Ifite Dono in Anambra State. They grew up in a large Christian household with their parents, Josephine and Moses Okoye, and siblings including Jude, Mary,
Christopher, Tony, Lillian, and Henry.
Their mother was a pastor, their father was a businessman, and the expectation inside such home was that the children would pursue education and eventually build stable conventional careers like every other typical African family of then. But Peter and Paul were always being drawn towards it. The twins joined the music and drama club at St. Murumba College, which was a Catholic school in Jos, where they sang, danced, and performed during school functions. They were fascinated by Bobby Brown and MC Hammer, but no performer shaped their ambition more powerfully than Michael Jackson. Peter later recalled that he, Paul, and their elder brother Tony would mime songs by the international stars they admired. Yet Michael Jackson represented something larger than music to them because his performances combined singing, movements, costume, drama, and spectacle in a way that made every appearance feel like an event. They didn't know that the influence remained visible throughout their career as P-Square. Long before they had the resources to create expensive videos or perform before enormous crowds, the twins were learning that audiences did not only want to hear the music, they wanted to see it come live. Their first musical experiment was an a cappella quartet, but the duo gradually developed into a pop-oriented dance trio. Peter and Paul became known around Jos for their rehearsed choreography and natural performance ability, although music was not yet the only future they considered. Nigeria's victory at the 1996 Olympic Games in Atlanta had inspired many young people to imagine careers in football, and so the twins joined the Pepsi Football Academy in Jos. An historical report states that they trained during the same time as a young Michael John Obi, who was then part of the junior team. The football dream did not become their future, but it helped reveal something about them that would later define their music career. They were drawn to competition, discipline, and performance. In 1997, they formed a music and dance group called Smooth Criminal, taking the name directly from Michael Jackson's song that had inspired them. And by 1999, Peter and Paul had learned to play keyboards, bass guitar, drums, and guitar. Their early work also included soundtracks connected to films like Toby, Mama Sunday, Moments of Bitterness, and Evers River. At this point, they had no guarantee their music would take them beyond Jos. They were simply just two brothers rehearsing, performing wherever opportunities appeared, and trying to prove their obsession could become a profession. The brothers completed diploma programs at the University of Jos before moving to the University of Abuja in 1999 to study business administration. That move would separate them from several members of Smooth Criminal, but it would also force Peter and Paul to discover whether the partnership could survive without the larger group around them. And their partnership did more than survive. It became the foundation of P-Square. As members of Smooth Criminal left for different universities, the group gradually broke apart. Peter and Paul, however, remained together and began searching for a new identity that belonged only to the two of them. They experimented with names like Double P, P&B, The P, until a friend named Richard eventually suggested P-Square. The name captured the image they were already presenting: two P's, Peter and Paul, two performers, and two brothers whose talent amplified and multiplied when they stood together. They also entered a management relationship with experienced concert promoter Bayo Odusami, but the decisive decision came in 2001 through a Nigerian talent competition called Grab the Mic. Peter and Paul were in their first year at the University of Abuja when they heard about the competition in Jos. By then, they were becoming known as performers in Abuja, but popularity within a university environment was very different from breaking into the national music industry. They bought the competition form and returned to Jos. At the Northern Zone stage, they finished first among 38 contestants. That victory sent them to Abuja final, where they defeated another 21 artists. Then came the national final in Lagos, and P-Square won again. That victory brought more than a moment of celebration because Benson and Hedges agreed to sponsor the release of their first album. Finally, after years of imitating their heroes, rehearsing choreography, and performing in school halls, Peter and Paul had finally found a path into the recording industry. But the Nigerian music business of the early 2000s was unforgiving. An artist could win a competition, record an album, and still disappear if the songs failed to reach radio stations, physical distributors, and television channels that controlled national visibility. Music circulated only through cassettes, CDs, video discs, radio requests, television countdown, street promotion, and live performances. While piracy made it even more difficult for artists to benefit from the popularity they managed to create. And so in 2003, they signed with Timbuktu Music and released their debut album, Last Night. The album achieved modest commercial success, while Señorita helped introduce the brother to a mainstream audience. From that, they received a nomination for the Most Promising African Group at the Cora Awards and won the Amen Award for Best R&B Group. The recognition was encouraging, but Last Night did not immediately turn them into continental stars. What the album gave them was experience, which is valid. Peter became increasingly associated with the visual and performance side of the group, particularly choreography, dance records, and club-oriented songs. Paul leaned more naturally towards emotional vocals, love songs, and mid-tempo records, while Jude became central to management and to many of the concepts behind their videos. Those roles were not absolute, but they created a formula in which each brother contributed something different. In May 2005, P-Square released Get Squared, the album that transformed them from promising young performers into one of the most recognizable acts in Nigeria. The project came through Square Records, the label they founded, and produced songs including Busybody, Temptation, Omoge Me, Say Your Love, Story, and Oga Police. The album showed that P-Square were capable of speaking to different parts of the same audience. Yet, their greatest advantage was not contained entirely in the music. A quick note, the full breakdown is extremely long, so at some point midway, we cut it and linked a video to a second part of the remaining saga where we broke down in detail the disagreement history between the brothers and the P-Square brand. So wait till the end to find out, and do check that out. Now, back to the saga. Peter and Paul and Jude understood that the music video could shape the way the audiences remember the song. During a period when many Nigerian performances were working with limited production resources, P-Square treated their visual representation as an essential part of the music rather than an advertisement added afterwards. The brothers did not simply stand before a camera and perform the lyrics. They created movements, characters, and settings that encourage audiences to watch the same video repeatedly. For viewers who grew up during that period, a P-Square release often felt larger than an ordinary song. Their videos appeared on television countdowns and MTV Base. Their dance steps were copied in schools and neighborhoods, and their CDs and video collections moved from one home to another. The twins also carried a visual quality that made them instantly memorable. Yes, they were identical brothers who dressed alike and moved in sync, but the more audiences watched them, the easier it became to notice the differences between them. At the first Hip Hop World Awards, now known as the Headies, P-Square won 5 awards in one night. Get Squared received Best R&B or Pop Album and the Album of the Year. The group won Artist of the Year, Busybody received Song of the Year, and their visual work was recognized with Best Music Video. They also won at the City Magazine Awards and Nigerian Music Awards. P-Square had finally broken through, but their success still belonged mainly to Nigeria. In May 2007, P-Square released their third studio album, Game Over.
Hey, this game is over. I know this.
The project included No One Like You, Roll It, Ifunaya, and Do Me featuring Waje. The album reportedly sold more than 8 million copies around the world, but the numbers alone do not explain why Game Over became so important. Its songs became attached to people's personal experiences. Like for many people who came of age during the 2000s, P-Square were not artists discovered through an algorithm or a short viral clip. Their music entered homes through CDs and video collections, traveled through radio requests and television countdowns, and became familiar because people watched the same performances repeatedly until the choreography, lyrics, and costumes felt permanently etched into their memory. The brothers treated the videos as a complete product, giving audiences a reason to engage with entire albums rather than only the biggest single. MTV Base carried those visuals across Africa and into parts of Europe. At the Channel O Music Video Awards, P-Square won Best Duo or Group in consecutive years, while Do Me received Video of the Year. At the first MTV Africa Music Awards in 2008, they won Best Group and received nomination in several additional categories. They had now moved beyond the stage of being successful Nigerian artists. P-Square were becoming continental stars. The group's rise also carried a larger meaning for African music. Peter and Paul were building this audience before Afrobeats became an internationally familiar label. Before global record companies regularly searched Nigeria for new stars, and before filling venues abroad looked like a normal next step for a successful African performer, P-Square did not wait for the global music industry to decide that African pop was valuable. They actually created demand so visibly that the industry eventually had no choice but to respond. In September 2009, P-Square released Danger.
See me see
The project produced songs including "It No Easy" with Jay Martins, Gimme That, Possibility with Two-Face Idibia, and the title track Danger. Peter and Paul described the album as an experiment and a sign of greater maturity. They wanted to address realistic experiences and show that their music will actually evolve without abandoning the qualities their audience loved. A 2009 CNN documentary on Nigerian music captured the scale of the group's growth. Reporter Christian Purifoy noted that P-Square had already sold out arenas across Africa and was preparing to expand further into Europe and the United States. In 2010, they became the first Nigerian act nominated for Best International Act at the BET Awards. That same year, they won Artist of the Year at the Cora Awards, with recognition reportedly accompanied by a $1 million cash prize. They also embarked on their first North American tour. Their commercial influence was also expanding. In August 2010, telecommunications company Glo signed P-Square as ambassador in a multi-million naira endorsement deal, showing that the brand had become valuable beyond album sales and concerts. Then came the invasion in July 2011. The album explored R&B, reggae, hip-hop, Europop, and contemporary highlights. To launch the project, P-Square worked with Flytime Entertainment on the Invasion concert in Lagos. Their international reach became even clearer in August 2011 when P-Square headlined the Afrobeats festival at London's Hammersmith Apollo. The venue, which held more than 5,000 people, sold out, while thousands of additional fans reportedly arrived hoping to obtain tickets. At that moment, the word Afrobeat did not yet carry the global commercial power it will later acquire. P-Square showed that the audience already existed. In December 2011, they signed with Akon's Convict Music. In 2012, they entered a distribution agreement with Universal Music South Africa. Chop My Money received a remix featuring Akon.
The remix, yeah. The remix, yeah. So fly.
While Beautiful Onyinye was remixed with Rick Ross. These collaborations were significant, but one of the group's most important European breakthroughs came through a record they had already released. In 2012, they worked with French singer Matt Huston on Positive, a French version of You Know Easy. The song spent 29 weeks on France's official SNEP chart and peaked at number 5. It also spent 16 weeks on Belgium's Ultra Top chart, where it reached number 7. P-Square had entered mainstream European charts in markets where Nigerian popular music had rarely achieved that level of visibility. In 2013, they released Personally.
Personally,
A song and video created as a tribute to Michael Jackson. 3 days after the release, Jermaine Jackson sent them a video message expressing his appreciation and describing the brothers as phenomenal.
It's not every day that a phenomenal band comes along. The singing, the dancing, and I was really knocked out because it kind of reminded me of me and the Jackson 5, the brothers, when we first started.
I'm pretty sure that for Peter and Paul, it must have felt like recognition from the family that helped inspire their entire career. Personally received a nomination for Best International Performance at the Soul Train Music Awards, making P-Square the first Nigerian act nominated at the event. By the time they released Double Trouble in 2014, their network of collaborators and international market had grown considerably. The album included a Joe with American rapper T.I.
Awesome. Alright. Yeah, okay. P-Square in it. Yeah, T-I-P. Hey.
Bring It On with Dave Scott, Shekini, Personally, Alingo, and Testimony. In 2015, P-Square performed at Morocco's Mawanzin International Music Festival alongside international stars including Jennifer Lopez, Pharrell Williams, Akon, Usher, and Maroon 5. Their performance reportedly attracted more than 100,000 spectators. For two brothers who had begun by performing at school events in Jos, the image was extraordinary. They were standing before a sea of people in North Africa, performing music created for African audiences without having diluted themselves to reach the world. That same year, the MTV Africa Music Awards honored P-Square as Artist of the Decade. The recognition covered the period from 2005 to 2015, a decade in which the twins had moved from national breakthrough to continental dominance and international influence. P-Square had reached a level of success that very few African groups had experienced, but the peak of their career was also the moment when differences inside the group became more difficult to contain.